schedules, or, if your dialect prefers it, schedules. Well, whatever way you say it, they amount to the same thing. It's a list of equipment that is hosted in your project, elements that have actually been placed. Any or all of these elements can be shown or listed in a schedule. In this release of Revit MEP 2014, there have also been some improvements in the way that schedules work. So let's take a look at how we create them, how we can set them up, and how they can be used not just for the documentation process, but also how to change information without even having to look at the drawings. For this exercise, browse to your Chapter 16 folder and open the file Chapter 1601 Schedules. To create a schedule, go to the View tab. On the View tab under Create, we can create a schedule. And here we've got the option of schedules and quantities, graphical column schedules, material takeoff, sheet lists, note blocks, and view lists. We're going to start by using the Schedule and Quantities tool. Also in this exercise, we're going to schedule the light fittings. So what we need to do now is scroll down in the categories to find lighting fixtures. It's quite easy to go straight past them. So under the filter list, uncheck everything except for electrical. And we should be able to find lighting fixtures. The default name for the schedule will be Lighting Fixture Schedule. We're going to schedule building components. And we're going to do it under the new construction phase. Click on OK. In this next dialog box, we want to pick the fields available in the schedule. So let's start with family and type. Maybe level, the type of lamp, its type mark, and a count. We could also put in cost and circuit number. Notice in this dialog box that we also have the ability to include elements in linked files. So, if your building was so large that you had to split it over several models, you could potentially create your lighting fixture schedule for the entire project by checking this box. Currently we're only showing fields for lighting fixtures. We could also define information for, say, the room or the space with something like the room name and number, and possibly the space name and number also. Once we've selected the fields that we want to use, click on OK. The first thing that we can see is the room name and number for all entities is blank. This is because it's trying to pick up a room name and number from this project file, and the room names and numbers are defined in the linked file. So going back to the Properties palette, we can click on the button for Fields and remove the room name and room number, and click on OK. This raw schedule is a great checking point. For example, this linear box luminaire has a circuit number, but apparently it's not within a space. What can we do about it? Well, we can highlight this fitting in the model. Scrolling out, we can see that it's in the cafeteria, yet it's showing up as its reference level being level 1 plenum. So taking that message as a pointer that we need to do something about one of these light fittings, if we tab select, until we can select the light fitting itself, we can then edit the family. What we need to do with the family is add a room calculation point. The room calculation point allows us to define the space that our fitting lives in. Let's load this back into the project, overwrite the existing version, and then take a look back at the lighting schedule. And we can see here that nothing's changed. Let's investigate this problem a little bit closer and take a look at the section. Double-clicking on the section head brings us to the section where we can see the light fittings. Scrolling in and tab selecting the light fitting, there doesn't seem to be anything immediately wrong with it. Let's try something else. From the View tab, click on Visibility Graphics. Scroll down until you find Lighting Fixtures. Expand the list and turn on the light source. Click on OK, and here we can see that the light source is actually shining up into the plenum space. I'd say that was slightly incorrect. What's happened here is the light fittings were associated with the plenum level and not with the ceiling. And this is where some errors can occur. So what we can do here is tab select through to the light fitting and flip its work plane. These changes are only available in group edit mode, so we need to be careful here. Tab select once again until we find our original array. Click on Edit Group, then flip the light fitting. Finish, and although we've destroyed a switch system, we flipped our light fittings. Looking back at the Properties palette, we can see that this is still hosted on Level 1 Plenum. But if we reopen the lighting fixture schedule, we can now see that those fittings are associated with the cafeteria. Although we now have a new error that we need to resolve with regards to the circuit numbers. This schedule is a starting point. In the next couple of exercises, we'll look at how we can develop it for documentation and for data filtering.